is perfect. You know, this is perfect for you. So again, we want to start out with running our lanes, our 5 lanes that we want to run the floor. Wings need to be out wide in the 1 and 5 lane. Rim runner right down the middle. 2 and 4, our 2 and 4 lane, our trailer and our point guard need to play in these lanes. Okay, so this drive and draw concept, remember, if you want to see some video of this, you can look at Dayton Flyers or you can look at BYU. But remember, so this is a more athletic handler or secondary handler. This is a shooter here opposite. We get a trailer and a rim runner, okay? So when we're coming up, remember, the defense has to match up. It's transition. Defense is not set yet, okay? So we're attacking the defense early, all right? Now, you know as well as I do as a coach, we always are on our teams about, hey, man, we got to match up. We got to pick up. We got to get the ball stopped in transition. So you have to think about this. If it's a shooter, they're probably not going to leave this guy, right? Because if he's a knockdown shooter, then somebody's probably going to be out there, right? But then if you look at it this way, right? Now let's say that a guy was here, all right? And the ball is coming this direction. So as the ball is coming, all we want to do, as soon as he takes a step that way, right? As soon as he takes a step that way, then boom, we're going to hit a head right here to the 3, okay? And this may be a, you know, he may drive in here and pull up and score this, may attack here and put some pressure on the rim. So, but the point is, in this drive and draw type offense, in transition, what you want to do is have a point guard to push the ball. And we're waiting to see any defender step toward the ball, okay? If this guy stays and doesn't step toward the ball, then this player can just get right in here and make a play. And maybe it's a 15-foot near-range jump shot. So I hope that makes sense. And like I said, I'm going a little bit quicker tonight just because of time, and I know it's late, but I had to get, you know, in the laboratory. So hopefully that makes sense. Coach Joe, if you got any questions, feel free to chime in and ask away. But hopefully, other than that, hopefully that makes sense there. All right. Good. Weather, what's up? Those T, what's up? Mark Dixon, what's up, baby? My boy Yak in the building. What's going on? Nick Larson, what's going on, man? Hope everything well out there. Okay, next thing we're going to talk about is what I like to call a shocker series. This is something that Wichita State does in transition, and this is a way to isolate a post player. So if you have a really good post, a lot of people will either try to front that post or they'll try to sag or try to double team on that post. So if you have a really good post, so let's say your post rim runs and he gets here, all right, and now we're like this, and this is our 3, and this is, let's say this is our 4, and this is our, actually, let's say this is our 2, okay. Let's say this is our 2, and this is our 3 over here, all right? So what we want to do is, obviously, when the ball gets here, in the triangle offense, you call this the moment of truth, or, you know, this is the line of truth. So when the ball gets here, it's the moment of truth. So if this guy's being played and they are, you know, and the team is doubling on you or not allowing you to enter the ball into the post, and what I mean by that is maybe they're playing like this and playing kind of in here. That guy's there. This guy may be kind of 3/4 right there. And then this guy being a little help side right here, so you can't really throw it into the post. So that's the look that you're getting. Don't panic, okay? What you need to do is create other actions so that you can get this guy isolated, all right? So this is one thing I like to do is just reverse the ball here very simply. We'll reverse it to the 4, and then this guy will pop the catch, and we'll catch right here with the 3. So what that does is that then brings this guy out of help side. He has to now come over. And now what we can do is let this 5 follow the ball and cut this way. All right. So when he cuts that way, what we end up having and what we end up looking like is this right here. We got the 5 here, the 3 right here with the ball. okay? And once we swing to the 3, we're gonna set a double away for the 2. So we get a screen here and a screen here, and now we bring the 2 to the top of the key. So what that does is it gets us some spacing where we get a shooter coming to the top of the key, okay? And then also we get isolation right here with this 5, which is right where we wanted to go with the ball anyway, okay? Remember, if you plan to wing here, you want to teach fake one to make one so you can make this post entry pass. And once it goes there, if you are a post guy, all right, just depending on how you're being played, you really have some isolation time right in here in the rim. Really nobody who can come double you, because if you're this 3, your readers either get it to the post. If they're fronting him, you can lob over the top. If they're playing behind, you can throw it to him. If this guy's man is sagging in here, then he should be open up top for 3. So that's one look out of the shocker set. You can come on around here. This guy can catch right here for a 3, or he could curl this onto the basket, and then we get what's like a screen-to-screener action, essentially, as we can set another one, and the 1 could then come back off of it. So you can be creative, and there are different variations that you can get out of, you know, running this shocker set. Again, this is just the surface level, just one look in it. But that's, you know, you could curl that and bring that guy off. If you like, you could have that guy come up. If this guy can shoot a little bit, you can step him out and then slip the 4, you know, and dive the 4 down. You could have the 4 go in 7 cut. So, you know, he always needs to check his shoulder. He could be coming like this, like he gonna set the second screen and just slip to the basket, and you step this guy right here, right there to the short corner. You know, you could do that. You could call this guy up here the ball screen outside. He comes in the ball screen outside, and then you slip it on the top. That's really hard to guard. That's really hard to guard. So hopefully you guys see there's another action there that you could do in transition and creating some early offense. So I'm gonna check and see if we have any questions, any comments. Coach Joe, you doing all right tonight, Coach? Do you are you understanding that? You got any questions, anything you want to ask, or anything you want to add at this time before I show the next segment that we got?
No, I'm good right now.
Okay, cool. Excellent. All right, I'm just gonna peek around because we got to rotate to the top. You got the back door, lob to the floor, also with the screen from the floor. Yes, sir. Absolutely. Todd, what's going on? Wes, what's going on? T-Mo, what's going on? Yeah, absolutely. You are absolutely right. My boy Mike Brown just was talking about when the 2 comes to the top, you can get a backdoor lob to the 4. Absolutely. You could bring the 5 up to screen for the 4. That's what he's talking about. So that's absolutely 100% correct. I'm gonna just draw that to show, because he's on Facebook Live. But that is a perfect observation, Coach Brown there. So what he's saying is when you have 4 and 1 going to set this double away for the 2, he's saying you could, as he's coming off this way, he's saying you can come here and screen the 4's man, right? Because essentially the 4's man, if it's a team that switched, that's another thing you got to do. When you're scouting, you need to identify, Coach Lewis, let me get Coach Lewis in here. Let me get Coach Lewis in. Coach Lewis, South Salem High School, checking in. One thing you need to identify when you're scouting is, are teams switching on screens away from the ball, or are teams staying? Okay, so that's one thing that you need to be picking up in your scouting report. You as an assistant coach, making sure that you highlight those details. Are teams switching, or are they staying? As a head coach, if you're sending guys to scout for you as well, guys or girls to scout for you, then that's something that you want to look at, seeing how teams are guarding screens. So if a team is switching, then essentially your X4, who is right here is the person who needs to switch out and take this away, right? So, which is fine, because if that's the case, then that means their 2 would switch on to your 4, right? And so if that's the case, as Coach Brown was just saying, you could set this back screen right here. You could set the screen and dive this guy to the rim. So essentially, you'd be picking up X1 on this screen if they're switching. If they're staying, you'd be screening X4, which your screen would be right there. You can still dive and get that lob to the basket. It's also going to be key that you work with this player on being strong in their triple threat and being patient enough to allow the action to develop. And if this player is somebody who can isolate, right, that might be somebody who can beat somebody off the dribble or a team's worst defender. If you put him in this spot and you lift that guy, then you could play that way and play to the baseline and get a lay-in. So hopefully that makes sense. Coach Mike Brown, that was good. That's a great addition, great concept there. It can really give some people some trouble. And so I'm going to show one more. Look in transition. So you're good. You're good, Coach Lewis. Welcome. Coach Lewis, welcome. If you got any questions, any comments, feel free to chime in. It's always good to have you, Coach Lewis. Y'all don't know, Coach Lewis is about to give him a state title this year before the coronavirus. So the last thing that I'm going to show you is there's a concept of playing in transition. This is the last thing I'm going to show you, transition offense. So I like to play in transition either 3-on-3 or 2-on-2, okay? So, again, we talked about lanes 1 through 5 early on. So I like to sprint to the corners, okay? So if I'm sprinting to the corners, and I'm not really particular on, whether this is 2 or 3, but I like to sprint to the corners and sprint to the rim, okay? And depending on the level of point guard that you have, if you have a point guard who's shifty, a point guard who's crafty, who can, advance past the ball, who can make something happen with the ball, who you may want to put in ball screen situations, then you can let them keep it and bring it up. But if you have somebody who you would rather just kind of advance past the ball with, then kick it up ahead like so, and let's play 3-on-3, okay? I like to attack the top foot. So if we pass the head, let's say we hit this 3 about in this area, somewhere in here, and the 3 caught it, then, if the defense gives them a right hand high, then we'd attack middle this way. Does that make sense? So if we attack this way middle, 4 probably needs to flatten out low here baseline, and 2 could window shop somewhere in this area, right? So we'll be putting pressure on the rim here. If this guy steps over, then dump pass for a layup. That guy helps in, kick out right there for 3 right away early. Same thing if we go to the baseline. If we go to the baseline side, then the 4 probably needs to lift up kind of like this, kind of a button hook, and this guy would probably find his way closer to the baseline. So that way we got that look ahead, or we got the dump pass right there, or you can go to the rim and score. Now, if you stretch the defense like that, okay, if you stretch the defense like that, and people try to catch on and not let you just wear them out that way, now we're here, okay, and we're like this. So now the ball is here because we couldn't advance pass it. So if we couldn't advance pass it, that means that they did a good job of getting back, right? So now the question becomes, where is this guy's defender? Sometimes teams trail with the trailer defensively. Sometimes they do not. So I'm going to just give you some things that you can do. Like if they're sitting back in the lane, like if this is a non-shooter for you, then they might not be up here early. And if they're not, then what's wrong with a quick early ball screen? And that way you just get your point guard, who's probably your best handler anyway. And if it's a scoring guard, you can get them coming off of a ball screen early in transition. That's good. That's good action there. If you don't want to go ball screen, you can send this guy away and set a pin down right away, and you can bring this 2 up, You know, this could be a shot, that could be a curl. If the lane's loaded, I probably wouldn't curl it, but you could probably just dribble over here and hit out right there right away. And boom, right there, now you got a shot up. So those are two things you can do if the guy's not up there. Now, if this 5 can shoot a little bit, right? If this 5 can shoot a little bit, then obviously you can step in right here to this trail 3, and you could pass to them right there. They can shoot that 3. If they have the capability of shooting it, then this guy probably will step up and close out. So when he does that, you could catch there and look high-low from 4 to 5. And that's just right away, early offense, early action. We play with a shot clock. So we define transition as the first 8 seconds of the shot clock. Some things that you can do before I talk about ways to measure your success in transition. Let's talk about if this guy is up here. Okay. Lastly, let's talk about that. If this guy's up here, you know, if this X5 is up here with your 5, right, then you may not want a ball screen there. You could. I'm not saying the ball screen is bad there, but if the X5 is there, then this point guard could play this gap or this gap. You know, the floor is really spaced out. Obviously, once you cross half court, then they need to get either out, you know, ball side or away. But that's something you could do. You could do that. You could, you know, bring this guy this way and come up here and set a back screen for this 5, right? You could bring that guy like that. Now, it would be beautiful if you stepped him out and set him here for a pin down that way and had 3 coming up and 2 setting his back screen and 5 going there. So while that's going on, you'll probably get the lob over the top to the 5, or you can play either of these gaps. You know, you're talking about, look at all this space. You're talking about all this space here and all this space going on with no help side. So again, there's something else that you can do to isolate and take advantage of early in transition. If they follow this over the top, then this guy probably is wide open after he sets that screen. So those are a couple of different things. There's 3 different concepts. Coach Lewis, I know who your point guard is. I think that drive and draw concept would be really good for you. We talked about it earlier in the video tonight, but I'll just retouch it just because you're in here now, and because I think that'd be really good for you, for your team. It's something that Dayton does. It's something that BYU does, and so essentially the premise is the point guard keeps it and drives until they draw another defender. So instead of kicking ahead all the time, you know, you want to drive and wait until somebody from the defense steps up to your point guard. And if they don't, then you just go shoot it, right? So essentially, if your point guard has it, and so let's say we had, you know, 5 here. This is a secondary handler here. You always want to have a shooter on the opposite side. You could have a rim runner, that's fine. Or you could even have it to where it's in like a 4-out type look, where you're running the floor like that. That's fine too. But what you want to do is bring the ball and see where the defense is and how they have matched up. So if they run back, because usually defensively, people are taught cover the basket first, right? First guy back, get the basket, and then somebody have to get up here, try to stop the ball. And these people trying to match up some kind of way, but they scrambling, right? So, you know, and let's say maybe this is a shooter, so they're not leaving this guy. So if they do that, then we could just pass right ahead to right here, right? So the premise is you keep the ball until somebody steps towards you. So if somebody steps towards you, now look at the closeout angle that we've created right now. So now your 3 or your secondary handler who probably get to the rim and finish, now they have somebody who's closing out probably, you know, 17 feet, or this person got to close out from 19 feet. And so as a coach, people struggle to win closeouts. So now you're going to put people in closeout situations from a longer distance, okay? So the last thing I'm gonna talk to you about is ways that you can measure in transition. I have a transition report. If anybody is interested in reading it, please let me know. I can email you a copy of it. But so what we talk about is how many on the offensive side, how many fouls do you draw within the first 8 seconds of the shot clock? Because if you're drawing fouls in the first 8 seconds, then chances are you're beating the defense back before they are set. Then we look at how many times we turn it over in the first 8 seconds, because we want to get out and run. We want to play fast, but we want to convert at about an 80% rate. We don't want to just run and turn the ball over. We want to run and score points or draw fouls or both. Defensively, you also can use those same statistics. How many fouls are we committing within the first 8 seconds of the shot clock? Because if we're committing fouls, then that means we're not getting back successfully defensively. Also, how many layups are we giving up? How many second chance opportunities are we giving up in the first 8 seconds? Because you want to get back defensively. You want to get back. There is something that I believe in. If you play for me, or if you hear me coaching, you'll hear me say, touch somebody, touch somebody, touch somebody defensively, because I believe when you're getting back in transition, you need to match up to a human, not to the rim, because the rim is stationary. The rim is not going to move. So I think that if you get back to a human, then you force the other teams to not be able to advance past the ball. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. Again, those are some things that you can use as measuring sticks. Those are things that you can use as measuring sticks. Coach Dan McNally, what's going on? James Foster, what's up, man? Chris Porter, what's up, baby? Shout out to Jacksonville. John McGrill, Jacksonville in the building tonight. Man, I really thank everybody for tuning in. Remember, you can always find me at www.thejuiceuniversity.com. This is the third segment of 4 of the Chalk Talk series for the coaches certification. So if you want to get in on the certification, just shoot me a message. You know, you can DM me and or pick up the phone and call me either way, or you can email me either way, and I can get you going on that. As far as my coaches who are here tonight live on the Zoom, if you guys have any questions, anything you want to ask before we sign off, this would be a perfect time for you to do that right now. So I'll just open it.
Hey, Coach Woods, what's going on, man? Joe Simmons. Not much, man. I got a question for you.
Yes, sir.
So now, how do you feel in transition? Do you do any rolling replacing in the middle of the floor with the bigs?
Oh, well, absolutely. I think you can. Again, now I'm not the stuff I showed tonight was just 3 different looks, right? It was just 3 different looks. But no, absolutely. Absolutely. I think that's really hard to guard, especially if you have 2 bigs who can shoot kind of, you know, from anywhere from, you know, 16 to 20 feet, right? If you have 2 bigs who can make those shots, and especially if you got a guard who can get downhill, you can really create some problems for some people. Okay.
Right. Now,
so if you have, you know, especially, so if I'm a roll and replace, I like to do it out of a ball screen. Okay. If I'm gonna do it early on. So for example, I like this look. I like this look a lot, especially if you got wings who are capable to shoot it. And, you know, and we come here instead of ball screen and we play middle, right? And we get downhill and attack like this. I love to have this guy roll hard and have this 4 kind of lift back up behind him. And that way, when either I can turn this corner here, maybe I get a layup. Okay. If not, you can kind of stop and kind of put these brakes on and throw that pass right back. And if this guy can make this shot, or if they're underneath here, you can reverse and seal and throw right in here for high-low.
right.
So that's something that I like. I would encourage you, Coach, as you are, you know, in your daily practice, I would encourage you to have some chaotic free time where you allow your guys to just play right within this action. And you don't really say anything, right? You just kind of say, okay, well, we're just going to play for these next 5 minutes, and you just give them an action, and you just kind of turn them loose and kind of let them figure out kind of that timing and where some of those locations are, who can make what shots, etc. You know, and you don't always have to do this with a ball screen look. You know, you could just slip this guy and bring this guy up behind it. You know, a lot of teams play, you know, I know, you know, Coach Lewis is a traditional post guy, but a lot of teams don't have two traditional post players, right? So if you're playing like a 4-out look, you know, if you're playing a 4-out look, coach, this is just another wrinkle that you can have. If you got 4 guards, you know, in one post, essentially, you could start who you want to be the post. You could just start them high, right? You could start them high like this the same way. I mean, you could do that, and you could take one step and dive that guy, right? Or you could 7 cut him. You know, there's nothing wrong with that. You could 7 cut that guy and just dribble over and get right into your 41 look. You could come here like you're going to set a pin down and just 7 cut him to the rim and dribble over this way. That guy could lift. This guy could pop out. And now you're right into your 4-out set, okay? So, I mean, I love that action. I love the roll and replace. I love that. I mean, I think that's really hard to guard, especially if you are working with your kids on being able to make those shots from the top, you know, kind of in this area, and being able to throw those high-low passes.
Gotcha.
Sir. All right. So this episode will be on YouTube as well. I invite you guys to check out. There are 2 other episodes that are on YouTube. One is scoring, you know, with your point guard, getting your point guard some easier baskets to score, and another is attacking the zone. I do have another meeting scheduled, and we're going to talk about some continuity stuff. So we'll look at a couple of different, continuity sets, which I'm a fan of continuity sometimes, because I think that running a continuity set can allow you to get a little deeper in your bench. It can also allow you to kind of control some time in the game. It kind of gives you something that, you know, you can teach everybody, because you never know who's going to be injured, who's going to be in foul trouble. You may have to call on a kid that doesn't normally play a whole lot for you. And I think it's good to have something in your back pocket to say, well, if we put them in, at least I know they can run that, right? So, but anyway, so that's that. And look out, that'll be coming out next week. So hope everybody enjoyed the night, and we're going to sign off. Thank you, coaches, for attending. All right, Joe. All right, Adrian, man. I'll see y'all next time.